What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Yello. Once again, big shout out to Chris, who has provided a compilation of their material, as well as other artists I'm going through. And the next track in the playlist is from 1983, and it's Heavy Whispers. I enjoy the phrase. There seems to be an internal contradiction to it. It might not be overtly an oxymoron, but it certainly feels like it's on the path to being one. Which is further to say, whispers, it is breathy, quiet speech, not in your full voice, not with loud volume. So to say heavy whispers seems to suggest a degree of weight or force, and thus, again, it seems to be at odds with itself. Now, of course, whispers might not literally be whispered speech, but could be rumors, gossip. You know, there were whispers that so-and-so was actually doing this. And in that regard, heavy whispers could maybe make a bit more clear sense and not have that internal tension. You know, whispers, gossip, or rumors about significant matters. Now, of course, it would still be an open question of whether those whispers are true or not. Nevertheless, I don't necessarily expect a full narrative explanation or answer to these thoughts, in the sense that I've only heard a handful of their tunes, but they do seem to be in the electronic dance sort of vein, and tracks in that vein don't always have verse 1, verse 2, verse 3 with a story, a middle, or rather a beginning, a middle, and an end. They sometimes are more about vibes and phrases, you know, even samples and so on. So yeah, I don't quite know what to expect here, but I do enjoy the quirky nature of the title. Let's give it a listen and see what I can catch. This is Yello. The track is Heavy Whispers, and it's from 1983.
Why do you cry, baby, cry? Please tell me why. Baby smooth, baby smooth. Why don't you fly, baby fly? Please tell me why, baby, why? I have to know, baby, no. Don't let me go, baby, go. Why don't you smile, baby, smile up in the wild, baby, wild.
The whole thing has a bit of a vintage horror movie vibe, like again, like a 40s or 50s horror movie type of feel to it, both in that like not theremin but sort of alien or monster movie type of synth line, and then there's that female vocal. At first I didn't know, it was like, is that like, I wasn't quite sure what kind of sample that might be. Then there was like a fuller version of it later that made it pretty clear that it's like a horror movie scream type of sample. And then the overall atmosphere of the track was again a bit like gothic black and white horror movie. Then there's that deep vocal which has like these rhymed phrases with like baby in the middle, so that there was like a symmetry to all his lines, and not identical, but it reminded me a bit of like Leonard Cohen's voice, that kind of very deep and resonant type of voice. So I don't know if those vocals were recorded for the track, if that's like one of the members, but it felt like those were less obviously a sample than some of the other sounds we heard in the track. But yeah, also some like, laser gun or like sci-fi type of sounds that were in there. And then there's that harp, which it felt actually like that was a sample, like a sampled harp, but the whole thing had this kind of weird, like I'm walking through a haunted house, like one of those haunted houses where people jump out from around the corner. It had that kind of feel to it. So yeah, definitely a dance floor track. It's a steady like house slash early techno type of sound, but with a notable like gothic horror type of vibe in multiple sounds. So yeah, really interesting one. Definitely one that's like a bit more niche. It's not like an instant like earworm, as a younger generation says, but one that if you like, eccentricity and also dance rhythms, I feel like that's in a good place. So once again, big shout out to Chris. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.